I saw my deaf and mute husband singing karaoke for his lover. My long-awaited child was born disabled. His rehab cost a fortune. I asked my husband to take extra hours at work, but Dave just sat there in silence. His eyes got wider and he waved his arms around. I was scared Dave was having a heart attack. I was about to call an ambulance when Dave snatched the phone from my hands and wrote, "I'm mute," on a napkin. Dave quit his job because he couldn't work with clients anymore. Now I had to provide for the family. I had to find the money to treat not only my son, but also my husband. I got a job at a restaurant as a cleaner. I asked my stay-at-home husband to watch the baby. After work, I was bone-tired and rushed home. I was horrified when I saw the screaming red baby on the floor. He'd fallen off the baby swing Dave had put him in. I called out for Dave, but he didn't respond. I searched the house and finally found Dave sleeping peacefully on the couch. When he woke up, he was deaf and couldn't hear a thing. So I wrote about what had happened to our son. On his knees, Dave started moaning and pulling out his hair. Then Dave took out his phone. He begged me to buy him an expensive hearing aid. Then I'll be able to look after our son. In the meantime, ask your mom to babysit, Dave wrote. To do what Dave wanted, I had to get a second job at a karaoke bar. Now I was scrubbing floors day and night, and I missed my son terribly. A month later, I'd managed to save half of the money I needed. I gave it to Dave to cheer him up. He was so discouraged after losing his job, hearing, and speech. When I got home, he was lying there, motionless, browsing social media. He wasn't happy, even with the care I tried to give him. The next night, I almost blacked out from exhaustion while cleaning the bar. Suddenly, I saw Dave's reflection on the floor. He was singing a duet with his lover and throwing tips on the table. I wanted to hit him with the mop, but I couldn't leave the floor dirty and unfinished. An hour later, Dave and his lover were finally ready to go. I stood at the exit with a mop and bucket and didn't let them leave. "You sing pretty well for a guy who can't hear or speak," I blurted out sarcastically. When Dave saw me, he staggered in terror. He slipped on a rag and fell to the floor with a crash. The bucket hit him on the head. This time, Dave didn't stop me from calling an ambulance. He was unconscious, and his lover tried to wake him up. "Come on, honey, get up. Your dirty wife knows everything. We don't have to hide anymore." Turns out, Dave couldn't hear the baby crying not because he was deaf, but because he was having fun with his lover. When I got home, his lover hid under the couch. She snickered as she watched Dave's brilliant act. When she saw that Dave wasn't joking around this time, she hurried home. "I don't need a disabled man," she said with a shrug. I went to the hospital with Dave in the ambulance. When Dave woke up, he mumbled something to me. "I won't believe a single thing you say," I said harshly. But the doctor came in and shook me to my core. "Dave lost his hearing and speech due to the severe blow to his head," said the doctor flatly. Dave gestured for paper and pen. He wrote me a little letter and confessed he'd spent all the money I earned on his lover. Dave promised to make it up to me. He begged me to pay for his rehab and a cheap hearing aid. "This time, I'll spend my money to treat my son. He's the one who really needs my help," I said confidently. "Dave can help himself by first dropping these silly antics." Sometimes we blame laziness on our health. We don't go to work, skip college, and avoid family responsibilities. The universe rarely distinguishes between truth and lies. It may just give lazy people the disease they pretended to have.